How you guys doing?
Hey, Wes O'Connell mentioned just wanting to try to put Kirk Cousins in some better positions after Monday night. I mean, what does that mean, just from your perspective, in terms of setting Kirk up better?
Well, just making sure that we're locked down on our plan and our contingencies based on whatever they might bring, whether it's pressures or different coverages, different ways to match some of our best players, giving them some answers.
What are your thoughts just on how much better the Lions have gotten and what Hutchinson, with the 3 sacks obviously last week, has added to them?
Well, yeah, they added a really good piece there with Hutchinson. He's going to be a really good player in this division for a long time. Plays very hard, athletic, and he's big. But just overall as a team, I mean, I think Aaron Glenn does an outstanding job with their scheme. They've got a lot of different packages. They've got a lot of different pressure packages. They've got some things that look very similar but end up playing out differently. So, when you look at all the things they've done, we've just got to figure out kind of what their plan is against us. They're not going to run every package they have, but we're going to have to be able to adjust quickly.
What is the key to slowing down some of those pressure packages and blitzes?
Well, some of them, is just pickups. We have tools within our protections, to recognize looks and get guys to the right people. And then some of those are having answers when they zero you and they bring one more than you can block, regardless how many guys you got back there. So, those zeros are. We obviously saw some last week, and teams are watching the tape, and they're going to see if you get it fixed. So I expect us to be tested at some point in this game.
You can sense a team taking away guys. Like, I think of Thielen and Cook. Are you inclined to use your other players, open them up, or do you want to manufacture kind of plays or touches for each guy to keep them involved?
That's a good question. I think there are times where you can use, if they're doubling a player, if you understand kind of how it's going to come and where it's going to come from, sometimes it's really kind of the illusion of a double if you can run away from a guy and get really matched up on one. There's different ways that we've done that in the past, that we did that with Cooper, last year when we were in LA. But there are going to be times where just, they do have a true double. They've got 2 guys, one's inside, one's outside, and depending on the route, other guys have to win. And that's the good thing about it, is we feel like we've got enough guys on the field that are very capable of winning versus single coverage, where we can take advantage of that.
In the case of Thielen, especially in the first half, Monday night, was there anything in particular that they were doing that kind of made Kirk look in different directions, or what do you think that was happening that kind of left Adam untargeted there?
Well, I think, anytime you only have 21 plays in the first half, you have a few 3-and-outs. We weren't able to really establish our rhythm and a good balance of run and pass. So it kind of limited everyone's opportunities, whether you're saying Thielen or touches for Dalvin or Alex Madison, or, a lot of people were limited and not exclusive to Adam. So, we've just got to be efficient on the early downs. We've got to convert some third downs. We've got to get some drives.
Yesterday about just personnel at times dictating run selection, and how difficult a balance is wanting to run the ball but also wanting to do so in optimal looks.
Well, I think defenses now have made your run plans more complex when you're throwing out different packages against different personnels, and then you're not always matching 5 DBs to 3 wide receivers in the game. Whether you're playing a base defense to 11 personnel, or you're playing, what we call penny, the 5 down guys with the 5 DBs. There's a lot of different packages that a lot of teams are throwing out there. You're not just getting your standard nickel 4-2 fronts. And even within those 4-2 fronts, they're putting a backer on the ball, creating 5 on the line. So I just think defenses have gotten more complex, and so you have to be able to carry enough runs where you have answers versus all those different packages, and you have to have some contingencies. Hey, how are they going to play our 2 tight ends? If Irv's one of those tight ends, are they playing nickel to us? And it's easy to say, hey, they play nickel to 12 personnel. Let's just run the ball, but you got to make sure you have all those things targeted correctly. You got a DB who's really a linebacker player there, so there's a lot of different factors, but we do feel like we've got enough inventory against our defense against a lot of those similar packages where we do feel like we have some runs we like, and we just got to get some of those off.
When you talk about balance, like run pass, is it in a pass happy league still pretty pass happy and run is more like situational, chewing clock, or setting up the pass, or are you still like looking for a true like run pass balance, like split?
I don't know that we put a number on, hey, it's got to be 50-50, but I think we're all feeling a lot better when we're rattling off 4 or 5 yards or more a carry. It just puts you in better situations, shorter third down situations, or not facing third down at all, where a lot of teams like this team can get in some exotic type pressures that really challenge you.
When you talk about the penny look, is that something that's sort of come along a little bit more in the last few years? I feel like I am seeing that a lot more.
It really has, and it's a way whether they put their 3 bigs on there with your 2 outside backers and your 1 inside backer, or a lot of teams now, they'll put 3 outside backer types in the game with 1 big guy, and really add some extra pass rush ability to that group. So, sometimes you're seeing that more in the pass downs, and then the 3 bigs with the 2 outside backers in more of the run down situations. But it's certainly built to be stronger against the run. You got more guys on the line of scrimmage, but I think across the league, you have, at times you're gonna have to run into some of those looks as well. It's like in base, you're seeing more. It was kind of a thing the last couple of years where teams were getting in kind of a 6-1 structure in their base defense. Well, tell me how many runs you love against that structure. You got some things you like, but your whole playbook from a run standpoint isn't available if they're going to put 6 on the line and really cover up every gap.
Wes, do you see any similarities between, Nick Mullens and David Blough, both kind of undrafted guys who have overcome the odds, got some starts earlier in their career, that sort of thing?
Well, yeah, you see, really the intangibles of kind of what allowed them to be here and still be in this league. There's obviously a talent, level that they have to be at this level, but the preparation, the way that these guys both came in at different times, but these guys are grinders. I mean, they love ball. They're in there. They're meeting with Coach O'Hara. Coach Johnson is meeting with them separately, extra, and just their hunger to really learn it and to be here and to be a part of it. They've been a real pleasure.
How much did the coaches or players talk to David Blough this week, just with his familiarity with the Lions?
There definitely was some discussion just about his thoughts from an offensive perspective, obviously knowing that better, but also some of the things that he learned from their defense as well. Quarterback's usually the best guy to ask on some of that stuff.
Does Aiden Hutchinson kind of look as advertised so far?
Well, he had 3 sacks last week, so that was pretty good. But yeah, he's really a relentless player. Whether it's run game, pass game. I mean, he's rolling off the football. He's all out effort, and then he's got talent on top of it. So that usually makes a pretty good player.
Wes, Wes, what have you seen from just your own interior offensive line through these two games, and how important will their communication be against this Lions defense?
I see a group that's really starting to gel, starting to mesh. That was a tough front that we played last week. I mean, those guys are a penetrating front. They really get off the ball. They're more of a tackle the run on the way of the quarterback type of front. Not a lot of reading going on there, and the situations in the game. We ended up throwing the ball 46 times. And I thought, for the most part, those guys held up really well. I thought Ed Ingram took a step forward, being a rookie in his second game. As always, those five guys, they're going to continue to kind of come together, and their communication will continue to improve as the year goes on. But we're pleased with where they're at, and we think they're going to get even better.
And for Sunday, I guess just facing a Lions front that you mentioned the exotic looks a number of times. I guess, does that put an onus on Garrett and just setting that group up right?
Yeah, it puts stress certainly, on Garrett, on Kirk, as far as Garrett's responsible to get the initial call out, and if there's some specific looks where we need to alter the protection, then Kirk is responsible to get those things communicated, and then the backs are responsible to know what that means. I mean, it's really, that unit right there has to be really on the screws, and especially against the front where you expect to see a lot of pressure.